Okay, this is 3.4, and basically we are going to graph equations of horizontal and vertical lines, and then we're going to talk about how to graph equations using their intercepts. So there's a couple things we're going to work with. Everything will start off in standard form, which means it'll be looking like this. If I can get my paper to come down. AX plus BY equals C. Okay, and there's a few rules. Remember, if you have AX plus Y equals C, there can be no fractions or decimals for A, B, or C when you are in standard form. Okay, so that's just kind of a reminder. I know you've talked about some of these rules last year, but once again, just remember that sometimes we've forgotten a few of these, trying to pull them back up. So let's look on page 77 in your note packet. We're going to graph some equations first. So we're going to talk about x-axis, y-axis, and we're going to talk about x-intercept, y-intercept, and standard form, which we just did. So for number 1, we are to graph y equals -3. And number 2, we're going to do the x side, so x equals 2. So the first thing I'm going to do, let's look at a graph. Since you already have one on your paper, I'm going to have to draw one for myself. When you have an equation where it has an x or a y individually, they're not x and y in the same equation like we have up above, then what you're going to do is literally graph it across that point of the axis. So this is the x-axis. This is the y-axis. Okay? So the first step we're going to do is graph -3. If we go down here, here's -3. We know that if it's there, it gets graphed directly across. So this right here is my equation graphed. So if this is graphed this way, this is called a horizontal line. Okay, so a horizontal line we have right here. Horizontal line. And this one, if this is horizontal, then this one's probably going to turn out to be a vertical line. So let's graph it and prove it to ourselves. So once again, this is my x-axis. This is my y-axis. This right here is 2. So if I go straight up and down, which is what we said, x equals 2. So this right here is my vertical line. So make sure that you have these examples noted, because this is going to help you with some of what I call the trick graphing that you will encounter. Before we move on, we need to identify these. These are called intercepts. Whenever you cross an axis, these here are called intercepts. So whenever you cross an axis, these are going to be given additional labeling as we go throughout the semester. However, right now, just know that these are axes that you are crossing, so therefore they are called intercepts, where you intercept them. So turn to page 78, and in 78, we're going to graph the standard ones. Now, we start off really smooth and easy, and then we start looking at it. The first 3, though, we're not going to graph, we're just going to solve. So basically, you're going to put zeros in. So let's talk about the table. Now's the time to talk about our table. So when I say that I am solving for something, in particular an intercept, we are going to use zeros. So to get the x-intercept, you put 0 in for y, and to get the y-intercept, you put 0 in for x, because you want a number for the one you're looking for. So if I put 0 in for y, this is 3x plus 4 times 0 equals 12. Well, anything times 0 we know is 0. So this is really 3x equals 12. When you divide by 3, we know x equals 4. So my x-intercept written out would be 4, 0. This is my x-intercept. And this is the proper way to write it. Very important to know this. To do the y-intercept, you're going to do the reverse. So I'm going to put 0 in with x. Anything times 0 is 0. So really I am dividing by 4 this time. So y equals 3. So when I have this, I'm going to say my intercept is 0, 3, which is my y-intercept. Okay, so there's this one. Now, number 4 looks a little scarier because of the negative signs, but you treat it just the same. So I want you to try number 4 on your own. And I'll even get you started. Put 0 in for y, put 0 in for x, and let's see what you get. Pause the video, and when you come back up, it'll be done. Okay, did you come up with what I got? Did you get -16, 0, and 0, -4? If you didn't, go back and check your signs. If you did, congratulations, great job. Let's move on to number 5, and that'll be the last one that we work on before we start graphing them. So number 5, we have 5x minus 2y equals -30. So if you want, pause the video now so you can work through it and then come back. If you don't want and you messed up on the last one and you're a little shaky, then continue with me and we will finish it. So if we put 0 in for y first. Once again, anything times 0 is 0. So 5x equals -30. Divide by 5. So x equals -6. So this one's ordered pair is -6, 0. Put in 0 for x this time. And we know that the 5 drops out, leaving -2y equals -30. Divide by -2, so you're going to get 15. So therefore, you know your y-intercept is 0, 15. All right, hopefully you've gained some more confidence because we're getting ready to dive into this with the 6. So 6 and 7, I want you guys to get your intercepts now. Oh, for those of you guys that may not have graph paper, let me scoot this back down and I will put that on here. Then we're going to graph them. So the only thing difference between 3, 4, and 5 is that we're going to graph them. So here's number 6. It is -8x plus 12y equals 24. And number 7 is 2x plus y equals 4. Take a minute. Get these done. So work both of them and then check back and we will graph both of them. All right, ready? Pause. Okay, did you get these two? All right, good. Hopefully your confidence is a lot stronger. So let's graph both of them now that we've taken and done this. Make sure I have enough room for both of them. All right, so for the first one, we're going to have -3 for my x-axis. And for my second one, we're going to have +2. So we're going to draw a straight line. Let's look at the next one. For the second one, we're going to graph +2 for the x, and for the y, on this one, we're going to have 4, which is going to give me this here. All right, so hopefully you remember how to graph these. This is how you do it in standard form and then graph. Let's look at the next set, which is number 8. We will come back to it in just a moment. Okay, so for the last problem, at number 8, it tells us a school band is selling sweatshirts and baseball caps to raise $9,000 to attend a band competition. Sweatshirts cost $25 each and baseball caps cost $10 each. The equation is 25x plus 10y equals 9,000. Models this situation where x is the number of sweatshirts sold and y is the number of baseball caps sold. So they are asking for some specific things. For A, they're wanting us to find the intercept. Okay, so to get an intercept, we know that we're going to use 0. So if we put 0 in here, we know that this is going to drop that out and make 25x equals 9,000. So if I have 9,000 divided by 25, that is going to give me 360 sweatshirts that have to be sold in order to meet that goal. Okay, so let's try it the other way. This time, let's put 0 in for x, which drops out the 25x. So I have this time 9,000 divided by 10, which should only give us 900. You're thinking, only. So let's do it this way. Y is going to go up this way. Let's do it in 50s. I think this will make it a little easier. So 50. In fact, we may run out of room of 50s, but we'll try. So 50, 100, 150, 200, 250, 300, 350, 400, 450, 500, and I will extend my line up, 550, 600, 650, 700, 750, 800, and we are almost there, 850, 900. As you can see, we're overlapping considerably, but we'll get to it. So let's look at the next part. On the bottom is going to be our x's, and we need 360. So 50, 100, 150, 200, 250, 300, 350, 400. So I'm roughly going to be right about here, really close to there. And for this, it's clear up here. So this right here is what we have. So our equation, if we graph it, is going to look like this. All right. Now, when you're doing a model, normally we make the lines go on forever and ever, but we're trying to figure out at what point will we sell enough to raise money for the $9,000. Now, they didn't say that they couldn't go over the 9,000, but in the equation, they're leaving the 9,000 as their cap. So this is what the graph looks like. I know that's part C, but it kind of goes along with the order pairs. So if we have x equals 250, so here's my x down here, so 258. So I'm going to be just about here, and we go up this way. It puts me right about here. So I'm going to be just over 300. So if we want to know exact number, the exact number we're going to put into the equation. So 25 times 258 plus 10y equals 9,000. So let's do a little multiplying here. So 258 times 25 is going to be 6,450. Now we're going to subtract that from both sides. Which is going to be 255, so 2550. When we divide this by 10, it basically drops to 0, so y equals 255. So this is a little off. Well, I guess not too much. I guess what I had done was went too far. If I'd gone here and gone across, that would have been a little better there. There we are. So when you're reading this, make sure you don't do like I did and went up too far. I got the angle off. And plus my line is not perfectly straight. Use a ruler when you're doing this if you can. It makes it a little easier, or a straight edge of some sort. And that way you don't have an off amount. But to know exactly what you need, you can always just plug it back into the equation and get that. All right, and if you had graphed this on here, I wouldn't have counted it wrong. That graph is fine, but getting your B part, you would need to put that back into the equation just to check yourself. Now, that is the end of 3.4. Make sure you get on the homework right away. Once again, I'm going to encourage the same thing that I've been encouraging. If you need additional assistance, I will have other sites for you to suggested to watch on YouTube to help you get through this. Or you can just type in the search box, how do I find the X and Y intercepts? Give me some story problems with X and Y intercepts, and it can give you some examples that way. All right, well, start on the homework, and we will see how this goes.